related to the database management system, that is constraints on specialization and generalization. So in the previous session we are already discussed about the specialization and generalization. So specialization means what? It follows the top down approach, and generalization follows the bottom up approach. So in specialization and in generalization we have some constraints, we have some rules. Okay, we have to follow the rules and to design the database. Okay, so what are the constraints on specialization or generalization? Okay, so there are two types of constraints on specialization and generalization. One is completeness constraint. Next one is disjoint constraint. Okay, so completeness constraint, disjoint constraint. The completeness constraint can be classified into two types. One is total completeness constraint and partial completeness constraint. And disjoint constraints can be classified into two types. One is overlap constraint, and next one is the disjoint or non-overlap constraint. Okay, so we have two constraints here. One is completeness constraint and disjoint constraints. Completeness constraint can be broadly classified into two types. One is a total completeness constraint or total specialization, partial completeness or partial specialization. And disjoint constraints can be classified into overlap or disjoint constraint. Let us discuss one by one. First, we have to know about disjoint, and after completeness constraint we will be discussing. Okay, so what is the meaning of disjoint constraint? What is disjoint constraint? So disjointness can be specified whether an instance of the superclass may be simultaneously be a member of more than one subclass. Okay, so what is disjoint? Disjoint constraints specify whether an instance of the supertype, the instance of the supertype may be a member of more than one subtype. Simultaneously be a more than one subtype, we call it as disjoint constraint. So an instance, okay, that means a member of the superclass. We are already discussed in the previous session what is superclass or supertype, what is subclass or subtype. Okay, so the member or instance of the superclass may be a member of one or more subclass or subtype. Okay, this is the definition of the disjoint. Here, the disjoint can be classified into two types. What are they? One is the overlap, and next one is the disjoint. One is the disjoint. Let us know what is disjoint and what is overlap. Okay, so what is disjoint? An entity instance may be a member of only one subtype, we called it as a disjoint. So what is disjoint here? An entity instance of the supertype or superclass may be a member of only one subtype. Here only one is the important one here. An entity instance, that means a member of the supertype, may be a member of only one subtype. So let us discuss with an example. So for example, I want to take patient. I am taking an entity patient. So patient can be specialized into outpatient or resident patient. Outpatient or resident patient. So every outpatient or resident patient, common properties are there. Okay, so what are the common properties? So patient ID and a name is common. Okay, so outpatient check date is this property, and resident patient has some property, that is a discharge date. Discharge date is a property of the resident patient. Here disjointness can be indicated by double line with a circle and indicated by the letter D. Okay, here a person can either be outpatient or the resident patient. Okay, a patient can be either the outpatient or resident patient, not both here. Okay, so here an entity instance of the superclass. Entity instance, that is a member, that is for example one patient is member of either outpatient or resident patient, not both. Okay, so this is the example of the disjointness. So entity instance of the supertype may be a member of only one subtype, only one, either outpatient or resident patient. Okay, I hope you are understanding. Okay, next one, overlap construct. Overlap construct. An entity instance of the superclass or supertype may be a member of more than one subtype or subclass. Okay, an entity instance of the superclass may be a member of more than one subtype. That means the member of the supertype may be member of more than one subtype. For example, I am taking an entity animal. I am taking an entity animal. So the animal can be specialized into land animal and water animal. Land animal and water animal. Okay. So here the member of the supertype. For example, I am taking frog or crocodile. So I am taking one member frog. Frog is an animal. So it can live both in land and water. That is the entity instance. That is an entity member instance of the superclass may be member of more than one subclass. For example, I am taking frog. So frog is live in the land and live in water also. That means it is a member, it is an instance, lives in both land and water. So it belongs to both the subclass. We call it as a overlap constraint. Okay. So what is overlap means? So it is a member of both of the subclass. We call it as overlap. If any one of the class exists, it is called disjoint. Okay, the disjoint can be indicated with a letter D and overlap can be indicated by the letter O. Okay, and next one. So these are the two types of disjoint. So disjoints are classified into two types. One is disjoint, and next one is the overlap. Next one. Completeness constraint. Completeness constraint. So completeness constraint can be classified into total completeness constraint, total specialization, and partial specialization. Okay, so the completeness can be classified into two types. One is total specialization or total completeness constraint, and partial specialization or partial specialization. So first one, total specialization. What is total specialization? The entity instance, that is, the every instance of the superclass must be a member of subclass. That means it must be a member of the subclass. That means every instance of the superclass must be member of subclass. Must be a member of subclass. Must and should. Must be a member of at least one of the subclass it can exist. Okay. Every instance of the superclass must be mandatory. Okay, must be member of at least one subtype or subclass. Okay, so for example, I am taking teacher. Teacher can be specialized into lecturer, tutor, or demonstrator. Okay, so here we are using demonstrator. So teacher can be specialized into lecturer, tutor and demonstrator. Here every instance, that means the teacher, every of the teacher belongs to lecturer, tutor or demonstrator. It must be a member of any of these subtypes. That means either a lecturer or tutor or demonstrator, it belongs to, we call it as a total specialization or total completeness constraint. Every instance of the superclass must be a member of at least one subclass, at least. So the teacher belongs to either lecturer, or the teacher belongs to tutor, or the teacher belongs to demonstrator. Okay, so that means every member of the subclass, superclass must be member of subclass. Okay, and next one, partial specialization. Partial specialization. What is partial specialization? Every instance of the superclass need not be a member of subclass or subtype. Okay, so every instance of the superclass need not be a member of subtype. Okay, for example, I am taking person. Here, person is an employee, or person is a student. So, partial specialization. The partial can be indicated by a single line here. Okay. So, person. Here, every instance of the superclass, okay, need not be a member of subclass. If a person is unemployed, he does not belong to employee. If the student are not studying, that person cannot belong to student. Okay, need not be a member. That means a person does not belong to employee, a person does not belong to student. So every instance of the superclass need not be a member of subclass. That is called the partial specialization. Okay, so here we are discussing 4 types of concepts, constraints on specialization and generalization. There are 2 types of specialization and generalizations. One is total completeness constraint, partial completeness constraint, disjoint constraint and overlap constraint. So disjoint constraints need not be a, must be a members. Okay, so partial specialization, every instance of the superclass need not be a member of the subclass or subtype. Okay, and next one, I hope you are understanding this concept. Go to next concept. Next one. entity cluster. Okay, so what is clustering means combining. Okay, so in the when we designing the database, okay, number of entities are participated and the number of relationships are existed. Okay, so the data modular initially entity relationship diagrams containing few elements only, few entities only. Okay, as the design approach completes, okay, the number of entities and their relationships that crowd the diagram, that is entity relationship diagram, makes it unreadable and inefficient as communication tool. Okay, it is inefficient and it is unreadable form, because the number of entities, so many entities are participated in your database design and the number of relationships are participated in the database design. It is very clumsy to maintain and it is unreadable and inefficient to the database designers. Okay, in that case we can use entity clustering. So that means we have to combine the entities into a single abstract entity. Okay, the entity cluster is a virtual entity type. It is a virtual. We cannot view. Okay, an entity cluster is a virtual entity type, represents the relationships and entities, the data. That means what is entity clustering means? An entity clustering is formed by combining all the interrelated entities into a single abstract entity. So we have to combine all the interrelated entities. The relations, interrelated entities can be combined to form the single abstract entity. Okay, that is called entity clustering. So let us discuss with an example. Okay. Let us discuss with an example. So observe that all these are the entities. So this is the one of the ER diagram in a university. Okay. So here the student enroll, department, research, enrolls, location and professor. So all these are the different entities. Here the attributes are not presented in the entities. Okay. So we can Combining, we can apply entity clustering by combining all these entity into a single abstract entity. That means it can minimize the space to maintenance and it is a very readable form. Okay, the database designer can easily understand the database design. So this is one of the important in database design. Whenever unnecessary elements are not present in the database, we have to use entity clustering concept. Okay, so entity clustering means what? We have to combine all the interrelated entities to form the higher level entities. Okay, single abstract entity, we call it as entity clustering. Okay, I hope you are understanding this concept. Next one. Aggregation and composition. So what is aggregation? Relationships among relationships are not supported by the ER model. Okay, in the ER model, entity relationship can exist, but relation among relationships are not existed here. Okay, so grouping of entities and relationships can be abstracted into high level entities using aggregation. So we have to aggregate by using entities and their relationship. Aggregation represents what type of relationship it exists, has a relationship or part of relationship it exists between the entity types. One entity is the whole and another entity is the part. That means one entity can be participated as a whole entity and another entity it can be participated as the part. Okay, so aggregation allows us to indicate that a relationship set participated in another relationship set. One entity relationship set participated in another entity relationship set. For example, I am taking one example. Driver drives a car. Driver drives a car. Here, car has number of parts. The car can have various components like tires, doors, engine, seats, etc., which varies from one car to another car. Okay, here the relationship drives is insufficient to model the complexity of the car. That means we have to use part of relationship. That means if an engine has some parts like a piston and valves, the relationship cannot be existed here among the relationship. Okay, so we have to observe that the driver drives a car. The driver drives a car. So here driver is an entity, drives is a relationship, and car. So car has, so car is a part of doors, part of seats, part of engine. Sorry. types. Okay, and the relationship engine is a part of piston and valves. This is another relation. Okay. So this is the example of aggregation. So the driver drives car. So car has doors, car has part of seat, car is a part of tires. Okay, so here engine. So engine has piston and valves. So the relationship can be existed by using the aggregation. Okay, and next one is composition. Okay, next one, composition. What is composition? In the previous one, we are already discussed about aggregation. Okay, so in that aggregation, relationship can be existed by using as a relationship or is part of relationship. And next one is composition. What is composition? So composition is a higher form of aggregation where the part cannot exist without its containing whole entity type, and part can only be a part of one entity type. Okay, so composition is a stronger form of aggregation. That is, it is a part of aggregation. For example, department has, I am taking one business rule, department has project. Department has project. Each project is associated with a particular department. Okay, each project is associated with a particular department. Here, if a department cannot exist, there is no project here. Okay. It cannot be a project without department. Okay, so if the department cannot exist, there is no project. Okay, so this is the example of composition. Compulsory it can be exist. Okay, so if you are done any project, it must and should activate or made the department. So we can maintain the department as project. Here project can be maintained without department. Okay, so this is an example of composition. Okay, I hope you are understanding. Next one, advantages. Next one, advantages and disadvantages of ER model. Okay, so we are already discussed about some concepts in the ER modeling. So what are the different concepts we are already discussed? Entity, relationship, attribute. Okay, so what are the types of attributes? What are the types of entities? What are the types of relationships and the degree of relationship? So all these concepts are discussed in the previous session. Okay, so now we are discussing about what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages of ER modeling. So ER modeling is a straightforward relation representation. Okay, ER model is the straightforward relational representation. So all the entities and all the relationships are maintained and presented in a straightforward manner, because the database designers must and should maintain the ER modeling. Okay, that means the database designer must manage and maintain the ER diagrams. Okay, so all the relationships, all the entities and all the attributes are in straightforward manner only. Okay, and next one is, it is a easy conversion of one model to another. Easy conversion of one model to another. So if the ER model can convert one model, that is ER model to, we have so many models, another models are there like network model, hierarchical model. So all these models are converted very easy in the ER model. Okay, and next one, it is a graphical tool. It is a graphical tool. So the ER model is a graphical tool to represent the database logic. Okay, so the logical database designing must be represented by using ER model only. It is just like a blueprint, it is just like a preview of database designers. What are the components involved in the database must be known with the help of ER modeling only. Okay, and next one, it is possible to represent a real world problems. Okay, in a better manner and efficient way of representing the data. Okay, and next one, it is a effective communication tool. It is an effective communication tool. It is a communication tool in between database designers, application programmers and end users. Okay, so the ER modeling is mainly used as a communication tool. Okay, in between database designers, database users and the application programmers. These are some of the advantages of ER model. In ER modeling, we have some disadvantages also. What are the disadvantages? There is no industry standards. Okay, so there is no industry standards for notations. Okay, so different organization use different notations. There is no particular standard notation. That is one of the drawback in the ER modeling. Okay, another one is, it is popular only for high level design only. It is popular for high level design, not for low level design. Okay, so that is another disadvantage of ER modeling. And another disadvantage is limited constraints and specifications. There is no much more constraints and specification. There is very limited constraints are presented in the ER model. And loss of information content. Okay, so with the help of ER modeling, some data may be lost. Okay, so it cannot be presented. Okay, some data may be hide in the ER modeling. Okay, so these are some of the disadvantages of data modeling. So data modeling advantages, some disadvantages are presented. Okay, I hope you are understanding these concepts.